Hey there guys, so the last time in the anime we saw that Kelvin was always holding back in fight, and accidentally Rick came across Kelvin at his training time and heard from Kelvin himself that he's so strong that he always ends up winning the match in a single punch, and that was affecting the business, as all the audience grew bored to watch the fights. So he started to hold back to save the business, and Rick advised him not to hold back in his fight against Brufston, and he literally means it. Kelvin didn't understood at first. But when he fought against Brufston, he understood that the big guy is a monster. Kelvin used an 8-level meteor spell, but Brufston broke it with just his punch. The audience got scared. And Rick left his emotions, because Brufston has stopped holding back, and the results were obvious. Kelvin lost, but he was happy because it was the fight he always wanted to have in his life. Then, as the story continues, Rick was happy because now he just has to withdraw from the final match because the golden orb is just gonna fall onto their hands either way. But Brufston was looking forward to fight Rick in the finals, and Rick got screwed and started to lose hair in high stress. That fear is natural, but at the hospital, Kelvin saw the news in the newspaper that he had deceived the audience for years and people were criticizing him now, but the old man was fine and asked him about his last move. That was really something, and Kelvin himself didn't know he had that in him, he just knew that he was so into the fight. Anyways, Kelvin asked old man why he's here. He had deceived everyone. But old man knew he did it for others and doesn't mind, but why go so far for him? And old man opens up that he sees Kelvin as his own son. At that touching moment, Brufston came in and interrupted them. He offers to heal Kelvin, but Kelvin refused because it's not often he gets injured. He tells Brufston that Rick had warned him to go all out. So he's excited to watch the last match, but Rick had locked himself up in his room out of fear. He just doesn't want to fight, so Angelica was trying to convince him to suck it up and fight. Their Snape came in to try his luck at talking things out. He tells Rick that everyone is looking forward to this match and requests him to fight, but Bro cares for his life more than a tournament. It's some serious trauma, so Snape becomes an opera singer to lay out the truth of the situation, about the money that's been bet so he should fight. And singing his song, he left, and Angelica tells Rick that Snape is right, and besides, Brufston could revive him if he died, so what's the hold up? But dying isn't playing, and Angelica haven't had that experience, but Rick had trained for 2 years and died countless times, so one match one death would be over before he knows it, but Rick was resilient. And Angelica was disappointed because she had looked up to Rick, so Eldwarf asked Rick why Brufston had the 2 years training plan the very same day he came. Rick always thought Brufston wants an ally in defeating Kaiser, but that's just partially true. Another reason was that big guy wants to fight someone all out. Orcs understands each other with brawling, but Brufston was so powerful that he never once went all out and felt alone. That's why his dream is to fight someone on equal footing for once. And he saw his dream coming true with Rick. Alice also knew and said the same thing, and Rick started to recall about the day he got to Orichalcum Mansion where he met Brufston for the first time. Just from a handshake big guy knew it's too late for Rick to learn magic, and with this body right now it's impossible for Rick to become an adventurer. Rick thought he'd also tell him to give up on the dream, but instead, Brufston never said that and told him that if he goes through thick training, he could achieve his dream. As for Angelica, she still ticked at Rick and thought about Brufston's training, so Eldwarf enlightened her that it's not training, it's called hell. So it's safe to say Rick is tough, that he still has his sanity even after enduring that training for 2 years. Angelica thought Rick didn't have any skill, but he does. An activation of it is unique and it takes a toll on him. That's why Brufston banned Rick from using his skill. Then time passed, and Rick asked Renette if she also thinks he's lame. Renette never thought and respected Rick's wish, but she would love the Rick more who respects Brufston's wish and overcomes his fear. And that convinced Rick to finally come out of his hole to fight in the finals, and Angelica felt impressed for once, but her view quickly took the U-turn as Rick is still nervous as hell. There were many prizes for the winner, and the tempting one was the ticket to go hot springs for 2, so to calm him down, Renette offers a solid prize to Rick if he wins. And that gets the man committed to win the match. Rick came out with full force and just shakes the whole arena, and his attacks really injured Brufston. Both didn't even use magic, it was just pure multiple physical attacks which Brufston defended, and Rick used Thread Slicer in the end, so Rick gets in again and smartly moves to attack Brufston. Rick dodged his heavy punch and counters his attack, so Angelica was curious what did Renette tell Rick, and she reveals she asked Rick to win and take her to hot springs. Angelica was quick and knew the trip means going alone and staying alone together, which includes sleeping together. So Rionette confirmed she's ready to sleep with Rick, and Angelica stopped asking questions. Their Rick was already out of breath, and Brufston then goes in offensive as he made many force punch attacks and Rick dodged it all, but it was a cover-up for next attack. And Rick used air magic to cushion the punch. That was a magic-less chant that even Brufston couldn't pull off, and the credit for teaching this goes to Eldwarf and Alice. In their training, Rick was hit by Alice and half of his body was vaporized, but as a result, Rick has gotten this strong. He used Brufston's punch force to fly above and attack with magic. But it wasn't enough to phase Brufston. Brufston then acknowledged Rick, and it meant a lot for a student to be praised by his teacher, but not now. He told Brufston that Eldwarf told him about his dream, and criminals acted like they didn't do anything. Still, Rick wanted to show his respect to Brufston, and seeing that, Brufston was finally ready to reveal why the Aura Halcyon Fist was made. But right there our episode 11 ends, but stay tuned to watch its next episodes, and for that subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. And most of all, drop a like if you enjoyed the episode, so take care.